Dear friends, let's talk about the black cat in the black room, in particular about the black moon, which is especially active in the first days of July. The black moon is all about our hang-ups, our ability to awaken inner demons and, well, start a kind of war with them. But as a rule, any war under the black moon is, first and foremost, a triumph of your inner bugs, and it's unclear who will win, you or your bugs. And any manipulations, games, tricks, schemes, or emotional performances that might play out here can be extremely charismatic, but at the same time, somewhat hollow. It's like you knock and realize there's nothing there. The main secret with the black moon is to ask a direct, blunt question, to debunk its myths. With the black moon in Scorpio, and right now, it's in Scorpio, and to see how this event will personally affect your chart, you can check out my free page linked below the video. There's a link there where you can calculate all 5 key events of July, see which key events are coming up, and for each event, you'll see from 1 to 5 stars indicating its personal significance for you. So, if anything, you'll find the link to this free calculation below the video. Of course, I also have a private Telegram channel where we go into all these topics in more detail, delve deeper, and discuss certain features like the positions of the planets. There, you can also get a forecast based on your personal birth date, as well as astrology and card readings. In short, there are tons of additional services. Join us for at least a month and see for yourself how many interesting things are happening there. Now, let me talk about the black moon, about the tendency here to get caught up in overthinking. The black moon is actually a fictitious point. It's something that doesn't really exist, but it's something we've imagined, something we've made up, and then we end up having to deal with these demons ourselves. Here, it will clearly come into play during conversations on the 5th, somewhere in the first half of the day, and in general, it might also indirectly surface in some situations around July 7th. The black moon is currently in the sign of Scorpio, a jealous and emotional sign that can put on a show, and under the black moon, this could turn into a truly spectacular show, displaying some kind of jealousy, intimacy, or emotional provocation. But there's a sense that the situation isn't worth a hill of beans, as if it's just made up out of thin air. That is, of course, if you start asking direct questions and debunking these black moon myths. So one of the main recommendations for these days is as follows. If you're about to have a conversation, especially in your personal life, because the black moon is in Scorpio, a sign that primarily plays out through personal, romantic, and emotional storylines. So, if you have any conversations or situations of a personal nature coming up, where emotions play a significant role, there's a tendency to overact, to, well, let's say, really get into the drama, get carried away in the role, and then just a few days later be shocked at how, on the one hand, the performance was a success, but on the other hand, now you have to deal with the consequences. So, well, it's a bit of a double-edged game here. Again, there are people for whom the black moon actually plays right into their hands. They know how to play with it, how to manipulate it, how to reveal it, and even how to make it terrifying. Probably, the black moon is really important for gypsy women who tell fortunes at the train station, and for them it's crucial to wind up the situation so that it's all, oh my goodness, oh my goodness. But again, any remedy for the black moon is actually very simple. It's cured by straightforward, honest conversations when it turns out that, in fact, all those things were just made up. But nevertheless, the main day when the black moon gets activated is Saturday morning. The point is, the black moon will remain in the sign of Scorpio until the end of the year. And its main mega super duper big bada boom show is still to come. It will gradually unfold, starting from the end of August, and play out in September and October. It's going to be just like a Brazilian soap opera with this black moon. The tricky thing about the black moon is that right now it's in a sign that represents understanding who's one of us and who's not. in Scorpio, a sign that manipulates relationships and plays with emotions. And when the black moon is there, it literally blurs, it literally erases the line of understanding. Like, is this really someone close to me? Is this really my person? Are they truly close? It's as if there's some kind of showy element to emotional displays. All right, so in this video, I'll briefly go over all 12 zodiac signs, but actually, I've already discussed this first event in detail in my July forecasts. I'll leave links to those forecasts below so you can check them out in more detail. And here, it's just a casual conversation between us about precisely how the enigmatic black moon profoundly plays out and what specific kinds of situations or challenging circumstances it can genuinely create and significantly shape. Break time equals 0.5s/. Right now, in the emotional element, basically two energies are dominating. There's the black moon in Scorpio and Jupiter in Cancer. Jupiter in Cancer, in general, symbolizes the theme of children, the theme of care, and represents the kind of person who will feed everyone, give them something to drink, put them to bed. In other words, someone who creates a very warm, friendly atmosphere of care and support. But somewhere in this whole family, in this entire emotional space, sits our little wolf disguised in sheep's clothing, who also plays a part in the emotional performance, but plays the role of someone who says, I'm one of you too. And with the black moon, the most important thing is that on the one hand, it provokes you to label people. But I don't trust this one. But I don't trust this one. But on the other hand, it can really give a person the ability to, let's say, blend into someone else's role, to play along, to join in someone else's emotional performance. And to understand whether it's worth believing, trusting, or not. Actually, with the black moon, there's nothing easier than to hide the situation and just figure out what's going on through conversation or some facts. Because with the black moon, you can imagine just about anything. The more the element of mystery remains, the more it's like, well, you didn't ask, you didn't clarify. And so it seems like it's clear, like it's obvious, but that's only clear to you. But in reality, if you ask anyone around, they'll say, no, you're just imagining things, you're overthinking it, you've made something up. And with the black moon, this element is really important, that you can, out of nowhere, pile up a huge number of complaints, hang-ups, your own fears and worries onto a situation that's basically empty. And so, I guess I just want to say, well, that's basically everything about the black moon. I don't really have anything else to add here. There's not much room to elaborate. But, I mean, there aren't really any extra interpretations. Actually, there are some additional interpretations. An interesting feature is that right now, on the 5th and 7th of July, Mercury, the planet that's in the sign of Leo, is aligning with the black moon. It's associated with brightness, with the theme of showmanship, with people who are flashy and charismatic. And the black moon will play out specifically in situations where the more wow factor and special effects there are, the more brightness, the more jealousy and emotional turmoil arise around it. The significant potential for numerous complaints. And I even had a very important key recommendation. If it is at all possible, please do not stand out too much, do not overtly show off, and certainly do not play the role of an overly super energetic character on the 5th or even the 7th day, because you might indeed attract many jealous complaints, and such a truly jealous mess could potentially form within the group that later on you will undoubtedly think it would have been much, much better not to draw so very much attention to yourself at all. That's precisely why one of the truly key and most significant features right now is that the black moon quite profoundly latches on and overtly manifests itself around pompous, often self-important conversations with a distinct touch of Leo-like grandiosity, or around very bright, highly presentable, and outwardly successful people, where hidden, deeply quarrelsome, and intensely secretive situations and complex circumstances frequently arise. So, well, those are probably the primary and most essential thoughts. let me go through the signs so the picture becomes a bit more interesting.
Okay.
For Aries, the black moon might play out as some jealous moments in your personal life, but honestly, for Aries, the whole beginning of July still depends a lot on Venus, which represents love affairs and brings a lot of revelations. That's why the tendency to be as open as possible in relationships, I think, won't really let the black moon fully show itself here. If you feel like you have some suspicions or certain thoughts, or if you have, here you can just go straight ahead and start an honest conversation. You'll get all the information here, clear as day. So honestly, I don't think this black moon will really confuse Aries much. Although getting involved in some kind of jealous showdown, that's totally possible, especially on Saturday or maybe even Monday. And especially if you're the kind of Aries who likes to speak out loudly and boldly, who likes to say things in a big, dramatic way. That's when, in all that brightness, impulsiveness, and straightforwardness, you might find that this black moon actually sticks to you, like some kind of squabbles or shady situations. So probably being straightforward and sincere is the best remedy for this black moon here. However, the inherent tendency to act in a pompous and overtly loud manner can, in fact, regrettably create a truly scandalous and quite problematic situation. For individuals born under the zodiac sign of Taurus, this particular black moon period has the potential to profoundly affect their personal and intimate life, especially with potentially jealous and contentious conversations arising on Saturday, or perhaps even on Monday, the 7th day of the month. For Taurians, this could mean real doubts about emotional closeness or about some emotional issues related to loved ones. But again, your planet Venus is currently conjunct with Uranus. You are absolutely brilliant in the role of a truth seeker, someone who immediately sees the naked truth, senses it, and knows how to expose everything with the right question, the right approach, the right conversation, just like that. So, I think no secrets can be kept from you at all during this time. That's it. Now for Geminis. Geminis are right on target at the epicenter of the Black Moon storylines, especially on the 5th and 7th. Geminis are directly involved in some kind of emotional manipulation, in an emotional performance where a show is being played out with a bright, loud, pompous, and showy storyline. Especially if you're interacting with some bright, strong, authoritative people. In short, the more authority there is either in the people around you or in the situation you're dealing with, the more likely it is that some note of jealousy, resentment, or emotional escalation related to the Black Moon will play out. The Black Moon, in principle, already played out on the 2nd, but most likely it could have affected the Earth signs then. But for Gemini, it hits specifically on the 5th and 7th. For the astrological sign of Cancer, the profound influence of the mysterious Black Moon, well, actually, individuals born under the sign of Cancer might genuinely experience quite a remarkably high level of genuine kindness, thoughtful care, and unwavering support from those who are truly around them in their lives. This all comes from Jupiter in the sign of Cancer, and the Black Moon, in fact, won't really, let's say, harm the sign Cancer too much. The only thing is, the Black Moon might bring a certain disorder, what's the word? A kind of indiscrimination, that's it, in some emotional situations. So it's like, I took care of this and that and this other thing and something else too. And at some point, I don't understand who is actually close to me. It's like those memes where a cat is sitting in an owl's nest with the owlets, and it's the same with that suspicious white coloring. And it's this feeling that you're taking care of everyone, even those you probably shouldn't be caring for. So it's like you feel so warm-hearted, loving, and emotionally invested in everyone, that it feels like you've fallen in love here, and there, and over there too. In other words, the black moon can, in a way, blur the boundaries. Which of these objects of affection are truly mine? Because right now, with Jupiter in Cancer, there will be a lot of love in me until the end of the year, and the black moon will be blurring those boundaries. Is it because I fell in love, or did I give myself to the right person or to someone else? Basically, this feeling that there's so much love, everyone gets a share. That's it. And against this backdrop, some jealousy-driven stories and confrontations might also develop. Let's see how that plays out on Saturday. For the sign Leo, Black Moon is directly affecting you because on the 5th and 7th, it interacts with Mercury in your sign, Leo. This means that the conversations you have, the things you say, the communication coming from you, they directly tug at others' Black Moon strings and hit some sore spots, some hang-ups, and a word said unintentionally can suddenly provoke a storm, a hurricane, after which it's not even clear if there are any survivors left. And with the Black Moon, you need to be very careful right now, because the more brightly, pompously, and confidently you declare certain things, the more dubious, strange, and manipulative people and circumstances start to appear around you. This is exactly the kind of advice that maybe on certain days it's better not to shine too brightly, not to stand out too much, because your light, your conversations, your impressive appearance might attract more jealous hang-ups than productive processes. Well, here, specifically for Leos, I'd say that this is exactly when that Brazilian soap opera might start playing out beautifully. For Virgos, the upcoming period with the Black Moon very clearly and directly affects, or could affect, both work and personal life, and it will play out distinctly on Saturday morning and possibly all of Monday. It's as if I've been put in a jar full of snakes. With all these Scorpionic, jealous, provocative, dark-willed situations, people, or circumstances, and here you are, sitting and trying to figure out what everyone actually meant. But everyone's already on edge, and it seems like there's no point in explaining anything anymore. And there's this feeling that all sense of reason has left the chat. At the same time, you might catch yourself feeling like you're getting carried away somehow. Why did I even say that word? Well, maybe it was justified, but then again, why stir things up for no reason? So here, with just one careless word, you could really mess up your own nerves and those of others. That's why you need to be more careful with any kind of verbal manipulation. For the Libra sign, by the way, for Virgos, the Black Moon could have definitely made itself felt on the 2nd as well. For Libras, honestly, I don't think the Black Moon will cause much trouble because your planets are currently aligned with Uranus, the main exposer in the horoscope, and here you might feel like you can see right through the truth, read everyone, and nothing can be hidden from you. In this sense, there's a pretty good dynamic here for you to expose things. You can easily and directly bring up, raise, or discuss any issue or topic. But what could these manipulations be about? First of all, it could be discussions about some financial matters that are shady or strange, which might come up both on Saturday morning and on Monday. Try not to get involved in unnecessary provocations. That's the main idea, I guess. For Scorpios, well, damn, it's going directly to your sign, so you're the one getting it first in the front row, or you're the one manipulating, playing, and creating the show of this Black Moon yourself. Here it seems like it is possible to go along either trajectory. The point is that the Black Moon creates situations where emotions become a tool for manipulation, not sincerity, where it's all about hang-ups and digging into fears, but not about any kind of healthy communication. To break free from the manipulations of the Black Moon, you need to try to be as simple, open, and straightforward as possible here, and not try to be sneaky or manipulate anything. Because if that happens, this murky atmosphere of unclear circumstances immediately arises, Others might start having doubts about you, and you might start doubting those around you. And then it just snowballs from there, and everything can get more tangled, stranger, and darker. That's why being straightforward, having some clarity, maybe expressing your position openly and clearly, will actually be healing. For Sagittarians, there's this advice I've already mentioned. The less you shine, the less you try to impress everyone around you, the less you interact with people who hype things up with flashy speeches, the fewer provocative notes from the black moon you'll encounter. So this is a time when you shouldn't go overboard showing off gold rings, bracelets, and chains, flaunting them. Because the more of a wow effect you create, the more complaints, jealousy, and drama can form around you. Be careful. Well, otherwise, I'd say it's not so much Sagittarians themselves who'll be affected, but rather their partners, those who are flashy in their words and at the same time a bit shady in their behavior. People like that might show up here, and you could end up in some slightly shady situations with them. But honestly, I think the black moon won't really affect Sagittarians much. For Capricorns, the black moon in Scorpio, which influences the 2nd, 5th, and 7th houses, will most noticeably play out in the 2nd house as a tendency to get involved in some shady story. As for the 5th and 7th houses, it's more likely that there will just be talk related to the black moon. Conversations will be held in very confident tones, but at the same time there will be a lingering sense that something is still questionable, still dubious. And honestly, I would recommend that if you have any serious or important negotiations, say on Monday the 7th, you should approach them with a bit of skepticism. Maybe something is being imagined, maybe something is being twisted emotionally, people might be exaggerating things, so it's best to approach what's happening with a bit of skepticism, right during these days of the black moon. For Aquarius, the black moon, which is active here on Saturday morning and on Monday the 7th, in principle, it can play out directly in partnerships, and even on July 2nd it could have. The essence of it is that there's some promise of intimacy, or the question of whether this is real closeness or just an emotional performance. That's essentially what the black moon sounds like. And there's a certain distrust toward the emotional content. In other words, it's a tendency to exaggerate emotions that might not even be there. A tendency to stage some kind of emotional drama, which may not even come from your side, but rather from your partner, who might be putting on a whole show of emotional colors. Or there could be a situation where, in my relationship, there's a bright, charismatic person, and around this person, there's a whole bunch of jealous, provocative, murky black moon circumstances. And this can lead to a certain sense of distrust. And here's the thing, on the one hand, I'm talking about something you could really get hung up on, but the main thing with this black moon is actually the ability to realize that it's all just mental hang-ups and not to let them get to you. So basically, just listen and forget about it. And most importantly, don't overthink things with the black moon, because that's exactly where its temptation lies. For the sign of Pisces, the black moon here from the 5th to the 7th plays out in a way that, directly brings up issues of intimacy. And here, there's a tendency in a way to love everyone indiscriminately. The black moon brings a lack of discernment in emotional connections, and it can manifest as you being emotionally drawn to some people while abandoning others. In other words, the black moon kind of creates some swaps and confusion in matters of the heart and gives you the feeling of, whatever, this will do. So basically, that catchphrase from the cartoon, whatever this will do, is exactly a black moon kind of story. The black moon makes us superficial when it comes to certain things. Here, the black moon is in the emotional, sensual, and sexual sign of Scorpio, and literally pushes us into situations where we are extremely superficial and frivolous about what and who is an object of intimacy for us. And on the other hand, this Jupiter in Cancer actually makes you generous, loving, and caring. But the black moon says that, well, this generosity, love, and care can be given to everyone without any distinction at all. And that's exactly where the question arises. So here you really need to be more careful. There is a concept, well, let's say for water signs, the idea of pure water is very important. A fish lives in clean water. Well, crayfish also really need clean water. Scorpios actually can survive just about anywhere. But the point is, right now we have Jupiter, the planet of happiness, in a water sign, Cancer, and there's also the black moon, also a water element, in the sign of Scorpio. So on the one hand, there is a very pure, loving, emotional space, but on the other hand, there are some murky backwaters that you'll also feel like diving into and splashing around. That's why the black moon literally provokes you into some kind of murky emotional story. At the same time, considering that in theory you might be overflowing emotionally and spiritually thanks to Jupiter in Cancer, just be a bit more careful with your warmth, care, and support for everyone. Is it really appropriate in this situation? The black moon can also indicate that you might get involved in some kind of dubious caring scenario that you hadn't participated in before. You might start helping and supporting those whom you used to be wary of or had doubts about before. It could also be a tendency to get involved in some kind of charity that later turns out to be fake, like a bogus charitable foundation. So on the surface, it seems like support and love, but does it really have the effect that true support and love should have? So those are my thoughts about the black moon. That's all from me. Thank you for your attention. I hope you get through this period carefully. The black moon, as the month goes on, might still play out a little bit around the 23rd. But its main show will really be in October. For now, it's just throwing these minor hassles our way. That's it on this